press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome back to your social science class. We are going to continue the chapter transport which we left behind in the previous section. We had discussed about the road transport and a brief introduction to what transport is. Today what we are going to do is we are going to move on into railways and the water and the air transport, and with that we will wind up the lesson. Now I want you to look at the map first and then we will move ahead of what it is there. Move and follow your copies in page 96. So see the important roadways that were there. We hadn't discussed about this in the previous class, but we are going to do it now. See the markings that are there. The bold line that's given is of national highways, and a stretch or a small line that's given is of the state highways. So see the broader line of connecting the national highways. Let us begin from Chamarajanagar. Okay, I'll just give you the major cities there, major areas. Chamarajanagar. Let's begin from Chamarajanagar down in the north. In the south. Okay, to Mysore. Then the connection to Bengaluru. Bengaluru's connection. See, it's that connection stops there, and it goes to the state highways. So national highways from Chamarajanagar to Mysore. Okay. Then a direct connection from halfway through Mysore to Bengaluru, and then Bengaluru is connecting it above to Madugiri, okay, to Hassan, here through Bantwal to Mangaluru, then or the other side to Shimoga, here Udupi, Honnavar, Badkal, Kumta, Karwar, okay, from Mangalore above. But on the other side you see Bhadravati, Chitradurga, going on top Hospet, Hubballi, okay. Then from there to Bagalkot, to Vijaypura, and one stretch crossing Bidar there, okay, number 9. So look at the state highways. The other things that are connecting to the national highways are the state highways. Moving, start from Chamarajanagar back again. See this till Mysore. From Mysore it's a connection to the south here. All are state highways. See there? Mysore, Mandya, Ennarpura, okay. Then Hunsur, Sulya, Virajpet, okay. Then go up from this side, Hassan, okay, all state highways connecting there, Chikmagalur, Moodigere, okay, Kadur. Then again it joins Shimoga there. From Sagar it is taking up to the state highway, Sirsi and other sides. On the coastal line it's the state highway that is going. Above from Yellapura to Dharwad, okay, Dharwad is a national highway. From Dharwad you see Badami, Bagalkot, Chikkodi, okay, all are state highways. Anyway, observe for yourself where it joins and where. So if you carefully observe it, you will know where what is going on in Karnataka. Though we may not have visited all the districts, we may not have visited each and every district in detail. We may have crossed them. We may not have stood there and seen the beauty of it. Any district for that matter, all the districts that are there in Karnataka. We may belong to one district, maybe we are visiting few other districts that are there, but not all of them. We can still visit all of them, but still we may not have till now. Okay, anyway, today also we have another map to look at on page 99, the rail routes. Before that we'll study and then we'll go back to the map. Okay. Now in Karnataka, the second most important means of transport is railways. So it's the next to the roadways that is there. Roadways takes the first place, the railways takes the second. What does it help us in? It helps to take people from one place to another for the economic growth of the state, okay, and transportation of goods that are there. So the first railway line in the state was opened in 1864. This was between Bengaluru and Madras by Madras Railway Company. You may have to remember this. by the Madras Railway Company. They started their first railway line in 1864, which was between Bengaluru to Madras. Okay. Then in 1956, the state had almost 2,995 kilometers of railway track belonging to the Southern Railways zone. Now there is a different zone that has come into existence, that's the Western Railways zone, and they have taken their administrative center at Hubballi. Now if you are applying for the railways and if you go to their website and check for an application, they ask you where would you like to get yourself posted in, okay? The Southern zone, the Western zone, okay? The Konkan Railways, so they give you. So at present today Karnataka has 3,244 kilometers of railway track that is there. Now we don't have an uniform or a correct distribution or equal distribution of the railway tracks that is there in Karnataka, but we do have an average of 150 to 200 kilometers of railway track that is moving through Bengaluru, Ballari, Belagavi, Hassan, Uttar Kannada, Chitradurga, Udupi, Ramnagar and Dakshin Kannada. So all these have an average of 150 to 200 kilometers of railway track. So Kodagu has no railway tracks, absolutely. Kodagu has no railway tracks. Okay. So moving on to the Konkan Railways, this is most important railway of the west coast that is there. It links between Mangalore and Mumbai and has that railway track, that is the Konkan Railways, which is going from Mangaluru to Mumbai, has reduced the travel time of 41 hours to 18 hours of time. So if you go from Mangalore to Mumbai, depends on the train. If you go Pan and Express, you can reach a little earlier from Mangalore, but otherwise through these railways, the travel time that was there of 41 hours from Mangalore to Mumbai has been reduced to 18 hours. 41 hours to 18 hours. So it has a length of 273 kilometers where there are 13 main and 310 bridges. So you get tunnels also as you go from Mangalore to Mumbai. If you have travelled from Mangalore to Mumbai, you do get tunnels, you get bridges, okay, under bridges that are there as you are travelling to the railway tracks. And of all of these, the Sharavati River Bridge, which is 2.2 kilometers, is the longest bridge that you can cover there, and Kali River Bridge of 1.2 are the most important bridges that we have, that among the 13 main and 310 other bridges that we cross. So these have many tunnels and bridges, that's what I told you, and it's a beautiful journey from Mangalore to Mumbai for the natural beauty and scenery that you can see. You do have to visit Mangalore once and from Mangalore travel to Mumbai, and you will know the beauty of traveling from both these places to and fro. Because of the bridges, because of the scenic beauty that is there, because of the tunnels that you would cross through these railway tracks. So go and visit Mangalore, and from Mangalore go to Mumbai, okay. Then the metro rail that is there, Bengaluru has been making a lot of impact on people, or it is changing in the present times, becoming a metropolitan city. So transportation has taken a good task there, yet it is a lot of problem because too many people are there and too many vehicles that are traveling in the road there. So what is to be done with a lot of population there, or a lot of vehicles traveling from one road to the another, is they began this metro rail transport system, and that plan was being implemented, Namma Metro Rail Transport Plan. Okay, so if you go to Bengaluru, you can find this metro rail transport, which reaches you very soon and very easily from one place to another than struggling in the traffic on the roads. Okay, so this was the plan, that is Namma Metro Rail Transport Plan. On 20th of October 2011, this metro rail transport was first started, okay, 20th of October 2011 from Bayapanahalli to MG Road, this metro rail started. So lakhs and lakhs of people are utilizing this service. If you go to Mumbai, you have the local trains that are ferrying people from one place to the another. Buses are there, but people take into the trains because you need not get stuck on the roads. Here it is the metro rail that is taking people from one place to the another, and it's an easy way of connecting from one to the another because the lack of traffic there. If you go on the roads, you'll have to wait and wait, and it really does check your patience when you have to go to some place very urgently. So taking all these tasks into consideration and taking all these factors in mind, they started this Namma Metro Rail Transport Plan. What is interesting about this is it takes less time for you to travel from one place to the other, and it saves a lot of time for you also. Because you have a lot of tasks to do in a day, isn't it? Now if there is a working person, he or she may have to travel a long distance for their work, and if they are stuck on the road, sometimes by chance something happens on the road, we never know what happens, so you get stuck, and when you get stuck, that means you're losing on your time on reaching early to that place or your workplace or your office. But if you go by this, you have nothing of that sort. It just goes, you just get down and then go to the place you would like to go. Now, other metro tracks in different stages are on the verge of completion. They are taking their place, and today it's a full-fledged metro rail transport that's going. If you visit Bangalore, please do go in it once for an experience. See, we need to experience everything. When we get a chance, we must do it. But when we get a chance and we don't take it, we shouldn't be cribbing about it in the next few years that are going to come. So whenever you get a chance, go and do. It doesn't cost you much to go in a metro rail. You can go from one place to another easily than traveling. Buses, you can travel in your own district also, isn't it? In your local places, you can travel by bus. So there's not a different experience traveling by bus. Traveling by train for a very long distance is also a different experience. So this Konkan Railway, that side, go once and experience the beauty also from one place to the other. Next, moving on to the air transport. Now this is the fastest mode of transport. Even if you have traveled by air, that's also a pleasant atmosphere. It gives you a different feel than what you are traveling on the road or by the railways. So each transport has its own experience to give us. The roads, the railways, or the air transport. Air transport is it's another beautiful experience when you go on top, when you learn certain things or see certain things. So air transport is the fastest mode of transport. What you reach by bus in 8, 9, 10 hours, you reach there by 1 hour, okay, at the most by 1 hour, because you'll have to get in and then the flight has to take off, land, okay, all those procedures. Apart from all those procedures, at least assume it to be 1 hour. 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you are in your place wherever you would like to land. Then, apart from taking people, it also takes mail and lightweight goods from one place to another in a very short span of time that is there. Now air transport is very helpful during natural calamities, during the times of war, and during a lot of time of emergency. If it has to ferry people from one place to another during natural calamities, just imagine there's flood and you're not able to take the road transport because of the floods there. Though you cannot bring the railways on near your house. Railways are far away, it has its own tracks. So at those times, in those times of emergencies, in these times of natural disasters, the air transport takes a lot of help or gives a lot of help to people. Now, the first railway facility began between Bengaluru and Hyderabad by the Deccan Airways in the year 1946. So Deccan Airways began the first air transport here from Bengaluru to Hyderabad in 1946. After that came the Indian Airways, which was nationalized in the year 1953, okay, and then Indian Airlines was established, which was linking Bengaluru to other places or other parts of the country. And in 1996, a state airport of Bengaluru was declared as the international airport. Then Belagavi, Hubballi, Mysore, Mangaluru also have domestic airports that are there. A new airport has been established in Hassan and Kalaburgi also. The international airport which is there in HAL has been shifted to Devanahalli, which is about 34 kilometers away, and that was done on 24th of May 2008. Now this HAL airport, okay, is being utilized for training of pilots. HAL has been used or being utilized for training of pilots that are there, okay. Hindustan Aeronauticals Limited, HAL, okay. Then this Kempegowda International Airport is the country's first green airport, that is Kempegowda International Airport. Because of the facilities and modern equipments, this airport has been termed like that, and also for the other facilities it shows. So this was air transport. If you get a chance to go by air transport, please go. It's a different experience. If you go far off, it's a different experience. Within the country, you reach within 1 hour, 2 hours, okay, at the most. So it takes you very easily than traveling by rail and road. Moving on, we'll go to the water transport. Now we have a sea waterways, okay, inland waterways that are there, and though we are not much concentrating on this, their uses are very limited. When do we feel the uses are limited? When we make less use of it. That time we feel the uses are limited. Who travels by ship? Who goes? We rarely do go, isn't it? Who has travelled by ship? None of us may have got a chance to travel by ship anytime. So it's not playing a very significant role. Earlier, when they had to do trade and commerce, okay, they did make use of waterways, and that's how they discovered, that's how they came, that's how they learned certain things. But we have now been improving in our ways of transport, and we have been trying to start different ways of transport. That is why it has made the other ways of transport, or other means of transport, has been very easier than waterways for us. Waterways takes a long time to go. Now, inland waterways earlier was to small rowing boats, rafts that were there, okay, small boats that could ferry people from one place to another or take things from one place to the another. Now motorboats have come into existence. If you go to especially the beach sides, if you have a river to cross, okay, you will have to go by a boat. It's a motorboat, okay. Now people rarely use. If you go to the islands and other places in Dakshin Kannada and that side, okay, if you have a river to cross, they take you by motorboat, and then you'll have to cross the river and then go to the beach side. You can go by road, but if you would like to go through the waters, okay, you'll have to cross the river and then go to the beach. So people are using it. Now that's also a part of business that they make, because everybody aids there, or everybody heads to that beach. So people here have been rowing boats, or if you have gone to an island area, the family has a boat, or they know how to row boats and take you from one end of the river to the other end of the river. So now, where is it used mostly? In the coastal areas, that is Udupi, Uttar Kannada and Dakshin Kannada. This is what I mentioned to you, and they have a lot of boats there because of the coastline, and water is present there. The ships are traveling, and then if the ships bring some goods, then the land transport is made use of by going to the ports there and getting the goods and taking it from one place to the other. Whereas in small places like these, I told you there is a beach where this is in Dakshin Kannada. There is a beach there which I told you, you cross the river and then go to the beach. But you can also go by a road. You have an island when you go down to Dakshin Kannada, crossing Udupi. There, if you have islands there, then people there have boats in their houses, and then they take you from one place to the other. So these districts, Uttar Kannada, Dakshin Kannada and Udupi, have rivers, Kali, Sharavati and Netravati, which help them in inland water transport, that is there. Boats are used to transport from one place to the another, especially in the river Krishna. Now, with we developing road transport and railway transport, the waterways has water transport has reduced. See, now transport of goods also can be very easily transported. You need not want the waterways to transport your goods. But if you have foreigners coming, they do visit places, okay, they do come to the coastline there, and they come through their ships, and it takes them a lot of days to land there in the coastline, and then they go and visit the places, okay, they go on a tour to the coastline that is there. A lot of foreigners come, and it's a business for the people of that area in the coastline, Dakshin Kannada and other sides. When these come, they make use of the water transport that is there. Then we have ports. Now the coastal places where ships are sheltered are called ports. Ships are sheltered are called ports. Ships are used for what? Fishing, trade, passenger travel and transport of goods. Now in the coastline, people have food habits of eating fish, and it's like no fish, your meal doesn't feel good. Okay, so people in the coastline eat, that is why ships are used, boats are used to catch fish, to transport goods from one place, and a very rare transport of goods from one place to another. Yet to catch fish, fishing is one of the occupations there in the coastline. So people use that there. Then trading purposes, passenger travel, see, not to a long place. Now that we have other developments going on, not to a very long place, passenger travel is a very short distance that is there. If you just want to enjoy one evening or something like that, passenger travel. But some places, it is there, okay. You have road transport only to one area, and then you have to use the boat to go to your houses. So certain places are there like that. Now in Karnataka we have the 23 small and large ports. The Port Development Authority came to existence in the year 1957, and that led to the expansion in the water transport. So 9th major transport of the country is the New Mangaluru port, which is also called as the gateway of Karnataka. So New Mangaluru port, the New Mangaluru port is the 9th major port in the country, and it is called as a gateway of Karnataka. It was declared on the 4th of May 1974. Why is it called the gateway of Karnataka? Because through this port, iron ore, coffee, spices, cashew, sandalwood tiles, okay, granite, chromite and canned fruits and fish is exported to other places. So see the resources that Karnataka has. It's going through this port in Mangalore, but see the resources, vast resources the entire Karnataka has. How does it reach Bangalore? Through the other means of transport that is coming, road transport that is coming, through the railways that is coming, and then it is shifted to Mangalore. And in that port, it is taken to the other places. Export taking to the other places, export and import. Petroleum is also being imported. Okay, export we are taking outside, import bringing inside. In addition to the Mangalore port, that is, we have 10 other smaller ports that are developed. They are Old Mangaluru port, the Malpe, okay, Hangarkatte, Kundapura, Padubidri, Bhatkal, Honnavara, Thadri, Belekere and Karwar. So this is all in the coastline line because coast is full of water, and there is a lot of heat also generated during summer seasons because of the coastline that is there. Now this being an all-weather port, iron ore, granite, manganese, agriculture producers are also exported through these ports or this port in Mangalore. They don't allow you to go inside, but from outside you can see ships being there in the ports. Very rare chances of getting a chance to go inside and have. Only if you have a certain job to do there, you can go inside. Otherwise, on the road you can see the ships being there and they're going from one place to another. If you go to the beach just next to it, okay, that is the Panambur beach, and there you can see the ships crossing. But you have to go for, when you stay on the shore, it's in the very end is what you can see the ships crossing. They're not very near to you, it's very, very far away. So if you get a chance, please visit and see this port from outside. Okay. All right. We have finished the lesson. This was an easy lesson. Now I want you to go back to the map there, page number 99. Okay, we'll begin again from Chamarajanagar. See the railway lines that cross. Okay, Mysore, Hassan, Mangaluru, Honnavar, Karwar, Goa. From here, Birur, Bhadravati, Chitradurga, Davangere, Ranebennur, Hubballi and Goa, that side. On top, Gadag, Bagalkot, Vijayapura, Sholapur. Then on this side, Guntakal, Raichur, Wadi to Hyderabad or Kalburgi to Sholapur. Then Bidar and Kamal Nagar. So see it and understand. See facts and figures you may have to remember, dates and other digits that are there. Otherwise, what you have to remember is what is transport, differentiation of road, land, water, what is state, district, national highways, the golden quadrilateral, it has 6 lanes, okay, and then air transport, when did it begin, water transport, what is the importance, and likewise which are the major ports, which are the metro rail transport that began. So just take time and look at the maps that are given. They are not given simply, they are given for your reference. So have a look at it, and with that you will have a better understanding of the lesson transport. In the next class we will come up with some other chapter students and see what interests us, you and me alike. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. I shall meet you in the next class.